Chris Cote likes when he's able to remove an orange peel in one piece, and the sound of Fred Gwynn's voice. He dislikes stepping in the tiny pool of water left by a melted shard of ice on the kitchen floor while in socks, and when the word guacamole is shortened to guac. Chris Cote is enamored of nature and has created fragrances that represent specific locations. His car is a very particular shade of green that's hard to describe. In his early years, Chris made little movies and songs with his brother and learned to prepare some of the Middle Eastern delights his mother cooked. Chris Cote is a musician, a photographer, arranger, producer, and videographer, playing in bands Almanac Mountain and Ambermore, amongst others. Chris lives very close to an old cemetery. I wonder if he ever worries about ghosts.
Hello again, welcome to Burst and Bloom Presents. We are here on this lovely green couch, and today we're talking to my dear friend Chris Cote of Almanac Mountain fame,
Maine,
and so many others. Thanks for coming, thanks for talking.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were just listening to your new album, Almanac Mountain is Breaking Up With You. Man, what a wild ride. How's it all feeling? I know
Thanks.
it's been
Good.
Long in the works.
It has been. Yeah, glad to be done with it, and kind of stagnant. A lot of the songs I'd written, a couple of years ago, and kind of stagnated for a while. And I was like, I really got to finish this. And so I sort of pulled the forces together. I knew I wanted like the full band on this. Usually it's all me.
Yep.
And maybe I'll bring a guest person in or whatever. And
it's a crack team. You've been working with them for a while.
Yeah. So I think that was part of why it was kind of delayed in coming out, was that I needed to find the right time where I could get all these guys on board to make it happen. And of course, schedules and everything slows things down, and you kind of do things a piece at a time.
Yes.
When you're working that way.
I find it's much harder to work with people, but so much better. In my case,
yes.
Yeah. You're a different caliber. You're a different animal, Chris.
Yeah, but it is good to. It's mainly because I might have issues with like being too, having too much control, or feeling like, all right, I need to manage every aspect of this, to realize the vision. But once you start working with people, that can take that sort of extra burden off of you and give you something you wouldn't necessarily have thought of yourself. It really is. You realize that trying to take it on all yourself isn't always the best.
Yeah. And you can always kick them out. That's the thing of running a band.
Right, exactly.
Get out of my band.
Right.
You're not doing the thing.
You're replaceable.
Yeah. Boy, what a name. And I guess it does mean the end of Almanac Mountain as a moniker for you. What prompted that?
It's no longer a blank canvas, and I really like having a blank canvas to, reset and see what I can make happen new. And whether or not Almanac Mountain really doesn't have anything more to say, I still feel it's not a blank canvas.
Wall of
it's got expectations for me, at least. I think about it needing to be a certain way, or have a certain sort of like approach or criteria, and I feel like the project has I've done what I set out to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
It
you
feels
conquered the world.
Creatively, not well.
You
not
created
really,
a mountain, and then you climbed that mountain.
I climbed the mountain, and I sort of reached the summit of it, and just have other things that I want to do.
Yeah. Speaking of other things, you've been amazingly busy. I was thinking of all the projects you did. You did Pulsar. You did Benny McWarner Sr. You worked with me in a band called Ambermore. You produced Mercury EP with Jim Ryu, which was incredible. Holden Brown, so many things. Curious, some of them you seem to really take on other personalities. You seem to like to inhabit different people other than your own. What is that drive coming from?
I mean, it comes from when I'm, like, for instance, with Almanac Mountain stuff, it's personal, It feels like it's me expressing myself, and the voice that comes out, it's not, it doesn't really have much affectation. It doesn't have a lot of like character,
I might fight you on that a little bit.
But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that when you create a persona, you don't have to be yourself. You can get outside of your head, and you can add things to your performance, I guess, or do things creatively that you would feel self-conscious about doing, or I would feel self-conscious about doing. As me, as what's really in my head. But when I'm portraying somebody else or imagining someone else, then I can free myself up to do a lot of that stuff and not feel strange about it. I can, like with Holden Brown, I can really put on that sort of 70s rock and roll, affectation that I wouldn't really sing an Almanac Mountain song where I'm singing about something, personal or whatever. I'm not going to put that kind of affectation on it,
Right.
But I like that, and I have that in me. I just need that sort of level of artifice to have it come out,
Yeah, and your songs are so narrative and linear, and it feels like you can really step right inside them. I was thinking of your amazing Pulsar album. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Pulsar. So
Pulsar, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so the idea is
yeah.
I guess the joke there is that, the person that wrote it, is sort of a little bit of a rube, doesn't really understand, science. So star, pulsar, it kind of mixed them up, it's kind of,
Very nice.
But yeah, again, it's that sort of wanting to explore other sounds and giving myself the permission to do that by putting up this veneer, of, Benny McWarner, who's this, yacht rock performer, long gone because he died in the 80s.
How did he die? I can't remember.
I forget what happened to him, honestly.
Was it a boat incident?
It was a boating incident, yes. His boat, the Dock and Roll, was
the Dock and Roll.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, that's something that sort of allowed me to do this sort of cheesy 70s pop rock kind of thing, and not feel like a complete, like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? It's not me, it's Benny McWarner.
It's this guy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and those were discovered outtakes from an album in the 70s.
That's right. Yes,
they.
I'm not sure that I established how he died, but those tapes were found in his boat, the Dock and Roll,
and a lot of drugs.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So a few of his demos surfaced, and that's what those songs are.
Yeah. Well, one thing about your records, the production is always, to me, staggering. I'm always blown away by what you do and how generous you are with other people and what you bring to your own projects. Tell me a little bit about your journey to understand that. I know you and your brother would kind of mess around with different recording projects and film projects as kids.
Yeah, I became interested in what you could do with recording pretty early. My brother had this 2-tape, just a sort of 80s consumer little boombox thing, mini boombox. And one day it fell down the stairs, and somehow it magically gained the ability to like bounce multi-track record.
There's a lesson there, kids.
Yeah, you could record backwards. you could record high speed stuff, slow speed stuff. Like something happened with the tape heads there that opened up this world of creativity. And so I would make these projects, either whether it was music or some goofy sketch. And so that made me want to get a proper 8-track, 4-track recorder, and then got that, and then started doing that, and learned a lot from the years of recording on my Tascam, and and then the move to digital audio recording was a labored transition. I kind of fought it for a while. I played around with some easy stuff. And it wasn't until I was using GarageBand for a while, but a friend of mine used Reaper on a project that he recorded with us, which is really involved. You know, kind of typical, you know, digital audio workstation, and there was so much more I could do with that, but I was a little intimidated by it, so I decided I was going to learn how to do that, and that was actually the genesis of the first Almanac Mountain album. Was like I wanted to learn how to use Reaper so that I could become more proficient in, you know, in those traditional digital audio workstations and be able to do more of what I wanted to. So I wrote the album When in Nature, which was, the idea was like it was going to be released on 420. It's like an album about getting high, and it was really an excuse to teach myself how to learn using a more advanced thing.
We need deadlines, so that's good.
Yeah. So then, for years I've been incrementally learning that, and just I guess getting better over time, and because there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, it's a
with
slippery
that
slope.
stuff. It really is.
Yeah. Well, you studied music, and you've written musicals and orchestrated pieces. Tell me a little about that journey and how that informs what you're doing today, if it does.
Oh yeah, it sure does. You know, again, going back to my teen years, you know, in technology and learning how to notate music on a little software program called Deluxe Music Construction Set. And then, you know, really getting into that. And then what I would do is I would take scores, classical scores, and like put them in note by note, just so I could hear them back, because I thought that was cool. It's like I would have my computer play through my MIDI keyboard and like, whoa, it's Beethoven.
That's some real freaky stuff right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I sort of, as a consequence, I really developed, like, just because of seeing everything note by note, I kind of developed a sense for concert music, or whatever you want to call it, like, you know, and decided at some point I wanted to go to school and learn that. So that's the path I took. But I've always liked popular music and tonal music, and I never sort of fully went down that path of like classical, just because I mean I was never really a great performer. I couldn't rise to the level of performing that. A lot of my
I might fight you on that.
my fellow students.
A real fucking pro.
But yeah, it's been kind of a weird journey, because I've sort of vacillated between those two worlds. But you know, that education has definitely helped when it comes to, you know, something like working on Mercury, you know, with Jim, like being able to orchestrate stuff. And I'm finding a really comfortable meld of those two things, whereas previously, you know, those were kind of two separate worlds for me. Now I'm feeling a little bit more like those two can kind of coexist.
Right. Well, that EP is really one of my favorite things that you've done, just because it's so different, and it seems like you really had a vision for it. It's like a Reese's cup for me. It's like these two great tastes together in this way that, you know, neither of you would have gotten there on your own.
Right. Yeah.
Is that something you'd like to do more, producing other people's music? Yeah,
absolutely. And I think with Jim, that process was really kind of organic and kind of ideal, because I saw something that I heard his music, I heard how he performed it and sang it, and it inspired me to want to produce it in a certain way. I mean,
I can make that thing better.
All right, well, I mean, not better, but just different, you know?
You did. Yeah, absolutely.
And that I was inspired in that way. So, I mean, if somebody asked me, like, hey, would you want to become a producer? Not really, only because, like, I'm not likely to, if I don't hear something from somebody, if somebody could give me some really wonderful music, but if it doesn't trigger, like, okay, this is how I would want to produce this, or then you know, it's not going to be something that I'm going to be super jazzed about, you know?
And it seems like you want to be doing like a true collaboration. You know, you want to have it represent you as much as the artist, which is a great way to work. On the new album, Almanac Mountain is breaking up with you. I can't help but love that every time I say it. It's a great name. You have it's a really epic album. I feel like there's pop references, there's references to your other work, Boris and Natasha. Boy, Jocelyn McKenzie's vocals on that just really, really wallop.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you have some shows coming up, and you're going to be celebrating that. How's that all feeling?
Good. I really like the guys that I play with, John, Dan, and Sky. They're all really good players. They get the music really well, and it's great to work with them because they always bring kind of their best, I feel, to the songs, and we practice them and we really enjoy playing them. So, I've done a lot of projects where you kind of have to pull together a band last minute or something like that, and it's like, you kind of struggle to find a connection.
Right.
But with these guys, I've never had that issue, so.
Well, we're going to be having you play one of the songs from the album. You chose "Rock and Roll Love." What prompted that?
Well, it's easy to play.
Nice. All right. Well, let's go over to the blue couch and we'll have you play that.
Hi, I'm Chris Cote from Almanac Mountain and a few other projects, and this is some of my merch. I've got the newest album, Almanac Mountain is Breaking Up With You, which is coming out in June of this year. It's the Farewell Almanac Mountain album. And then this is the very first Almanac Mountain album, So Many Seas, which Breaking Up With You is kind of like a bookend to this album in a lot of ways. The second one, which I did on vinyl, thanks to some crowdfunding, Almanac Mountain is In Like With You, which is kind of like a song about commitment or lack thereof. And then we've got the third Almanac Mountain album, Cryptoseismology, which is the difficult album, but I think is the most cohesive statement that I've made with Almanac Mountain. It's kind of about how technology still has not gotten us to get over our very human nature. As much as it's tried to help us move forward in the world, we can't sort of help ourselves but squander it. And then this is Holden Brown and the Wishes, which is my Halloween project. It's one of those persona things where I take over the persona of this kind of bumbling cult leader. And these are all the songs that they sing from their gospel, which is their kind of the things that they live by. So that's a fun one for the holiday season. Well, the holiday season being Halloween. So that's it. You can find these songs on my Bandcamp, which is forestroot.bandcamp.com.
All right, we are back talking to Chris Cote of Almanac Mountain, and we're going to discuss a little and then have you play the song Rock and Roll Love off your new album, Almanac is Breaking Up With You. Cool. Why are they breaking up with me, Chris?
It relates to my second album there, Almanac Mountain is In Like With You.
Yeah.
We're breaking up.
So it's not me, it's you?
Yeah, it is kind of. It's actually, it really is, it's me. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, everything in the world is us in a personal level. Tell us a little bit about the song.
This is one of my kind of story songs that really is not about, isn't like a personal thing,
Right.
So it's a like narrative song, I guess.
That's just so you don't get sued.
Yeah, right, exactly. But it's from the perspective of a woman, and she has sort of hitched her wagon.
So you're not a woman.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What I'm singing
Okay.
as though I am. The character is. And she's hitched her wagon to this, kind of rock and roll art, musician and artsy guy. And
I hate those types.
But yeah, exactly. But he's one of the. He's kind of. I would say he's kind of a poser, So like he lives the life, and the style, and but he has his issues, and she's singing. She's leaving in the morning, and he's just kind of like lying in bed there doing nothing because he doesn't have anything to do.
Cheeto dust in his
belly.
Yeah,
Exactly right.
Yep.
He's one of these guys, and she's basically trying to find some reason to stay. And she there's things that she wants out of the relationship and out of life. She wants, and she just doesn't see that this is going to happen with him, and he's just kind of like, she just made a bad choice with this guy,
Great.
and she's struggling with it.
Big stuff.
Big stuff, yeah.
You want to hit us?
All right. After that.
Thick, rich, delicious. Thanks so much. I can't wait to hear you play that with the whole band.
Yeah, it's really, there's that whole section in the middle where Sky plays this really great, like, Jeff Tweedy long solo. It's really cool.
Yeah. No, the recordings sound great. Yes. Well, thanks so much for coming out. Chris
Cote.
This is Burst and Bloom Presents, and we're done.